Gives it to Poa. They'll dribble out the remaining seconds. What a great response by ASU after the loss at TCU. They come back today, and just a tremendous effort all the way around by so many players in maroon and gold. There's the horn, and the Devils win it 67-51. Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of In the Huddle with Coach Molly Miller, your weekly look inside Arizona State women's basketball. I'm Jeff Munn, and we have another great show for you this week, and we're back at Blanco Cocina y Cantina in the Novus Place at 6th Street and Rural in Tempe. Let me get a plug in for them first. If you're looking for a nice way to spend an evening with great Mexican food, this is the place. Blanco in Tempe. They also have a location downtown at 2nd Street in Washington that you might want to stop by if you're in the central city. But we're very glad to be back at Blanco. We have some very special guests this evening, Sun Devil assistant coach Abi Olajuwon, and we have an alum. And we're excited about it. Promise Amukamara will be with us on the show. But you can applaud that. That's no problem with that. But save some applause for the person you really came to see and you want to see each week, the head coach of ASU women's basketball, Molly Miller. Hi, Coach.
Hi. It's good to be back. I know I was on the recruiting trail last week, so thanks for everyone for being patient with me and adjusting the schedules.
Absolutely. And since we visited last, a really, really impressive win over Kansas on Saturday at Desert Financial Arena. And it was impressive because you did it your way with defense. I mean, you took a team that is averaging in the low 70s and held them to the low 50s.
Yeah, I think that was impressive. Really proud of our group and the response. And I told them that's on me. We didn't put TCU on their heels, and we're used to putting opponents on their heels. Yet we found ourselves on our heels. So it was a good bounce back game. That whole week of practice, we stressed pressure defense, make everything hard, deny the entries, ball pressure, get around in the post, fight for deflections at the high post. I mean, we were going back to defensive basics, and it really showed up. And I wouldn't tell my kids this, but this one made me a little bit nervous. I mean, that was probably the best 1-5 team in the country for a conference record that we had faced. And so they were coming in kind of desperate, and they have good players, great offense. So we really needed our defense to show up, and it did.
And I think what indicates how well you played defensively, you faced a team that had the nation's number one three-point shooter in Elle Evans, and she really struggled. And I immediately realized, and Maura McHugh does the games with us on radio at home, we both recognized immediately it was your defense was getting in her head a little bit. Yeah,
we weren't leaving her. We were trying to crowd her. And then Samaya Nichols, she's going to be a pro, and she was a really talented point guard. I thought Poa or defense by committee did a good job on her. So, shutting those two down on the perimeter were important. And then Davis, she is a really, really good freshman. Her upside is huge. She could be a pro someday too. So, again, a very good team that we just didn't let them get comfortable, and that was the biggest factor in the win.
You talked about your inside defense. I can think of a couple of plays where Deborah Davenport got some blocked shots. Marley blocked a couple of shots back-to-back. Your interior defense was about as good as I've seen it this year.
Yeah, we want to fight the touch, and we don't want to get those easy touches. They did a lot of high-low, so when they would flash to the high post or the elbow area, we would tell Deb and Brackens to get around and try to get a pick six, grab that ball and go score it. So Deb really took that to heart. She was making reversals difficult. She was making flashes difficult. She got a few deflections, which led to easy layups. That's when we're best offensively, is when we're scoring from our defense.
And Eloisa Cayeta had a phenomenal game. Late in that game, she was 6 for 6 from the field, 10 for 10 from the free throw line. And on the air, I kept saying, I'm not going to say what she's doing today because I don't want to jinx it. And as soon as she missed a shot, I said, okay, she's 6 for 7. I'll take
that one. I told her to jack up that 3 because the shot clock was at 4 seconds and she was open. I'm like, shoot it. And so she shot it. So I'll take her miss. But no, our post coaches, Abby and Glove, have been doing a really good job with our post players. We've been working with L2, ripping a little bit from the elbow. So she got comfortable putting the ball on the floor. We want her to be a back to the basket kid, but we also want her to be able to face up and take someone off the bounce. She did that game. So hopefully you're seeing an evolution of her game as the season goes on.
Well, you're really in an evolution by both of your forwards. Elle and obviously McKenna was coming off a tremendous game against UCF. They've both been really solid contributors for you all year.
Yeah, and Bracken's, even when her shot's not falling, you can rely on her defense. Going back in the game film, she played better defense than I even realized. She was doing a good job of stunting when there was a 2-on-1 or getting back, going on turns and traps, as we say. So she's a valuable player for us. And again, those are two kids that are young. They're both going to be returners for us. That their game's starting to peak at the right time, and we're trying to get some player development in during the team practices and outside of the team practices, and they've been really great.
You mentioned your concerns going into the game. Maura and I both thought, boy, this game at the outset was really intense, and it was reflected in the amount of turnovers. It wasn't sloppy play. Both teams were just really ratcheted up defensively right from the start.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little sloppy. We might have set basketball back a couple decades there, but
I was trying not to say that.
Both teams, I think both teams needed to win that game, and it was an important game to win. So maybe coming out once we got loose and figured out just how to defend and how we were going to be able to score, we were a lot better in the second quarter and beyond.
We'll talk in the final segment of this week's show about the Big 12 for a couple of reasons. One, you've got a really, really challenging road trip, one game of which already being played at West Virginia, and then this coming Saturday at Cincinnati, but also because the Big 12 again is demonstrating it's just going to be crazy all year long. But I think, too, and we talked about this a little bit, the break that you had. You come home from TCU, it's the start of the spring semester, so your players had a chance to get settled into a routine with their classes, but the schedule worked the right way in terms of giving you a little bit more time on the court at Weatherup.
Yeah, those early couple days when we got back, we did 2-a-days. So we did a morning of just kind of shooting, just getting in the gym, getting lots of shots up, and then a pretty intense team practice. Then had one day in between of just individuals where we didn't do a team practice. So it was nice to kind of be intense in moments, and then give them kind of that day where they just got some shots up and rest their bodies. Anytime you can take rest in this league, it's a good thing. But you also don't want to lose the intensity. So it's a fine line as a coach. I thought we handled that week well in terms of staying fresh, but also getting some good intense practices after the TCU game.
Let me ask you, too, you brought up a subject that it kind of piques my curiosity. I've been to a lot of your practices, and practices in general follow a certain routine. But you do adjust practices, and I guess most coaches do, based on what you think your team needs to work on the most. It's not we're doing the same thing every day.
No, and this time of year, it's pretty scout specific. So if you're going to face a team that plays the majority zone, then you're going to work on your zone offense. If they're going to press, you're going to work on presso. So I think it determines who you play, how your practice is structured. But we're always going to try to get up and down a little bit, toss the ball out and play, work on some shooting, do some scout, and then get back to us, especially defensively.
You mentioned Abi Olajuwon. She's going to be our guest in the next segment. And you just think about her resume, and the first thing that jumps out at you when you read her bio is she coached Alyssa Thomas. Now, basketball fans here in town don't need to have to be told who Alyssa Thomas is. So when Abi starts talking to her players here, they're paying close attention because they know who she's worked with in the past.
Yeah, well, the pedigree speaks for itself, and I think she's had her hand on a lot of talented players at all levels. So there's some street cred there when you've played in the Big 12, when you've coached in the Big 12, then you've coached in the WNBA, then you've coached in the Olympics. I mean, that's someone that knows what they're talking about. And I think she's been at a place a lot of our kids and our recruits and our current players strive to be and go. So she's a good sounding board for them as well.
That's more of a factor now. I guess it always has been, but in the years I've been involved with this, I've seen a growth in the talk of the WNBA. I know that in football, when a program hires a coach with NFL ties, it's always he can go in and tell recruits, I've been in the NFL, I know what it takes to get to the NFL. This is kind of the same thing where Abi can tell recruits or the current players, hey, look, I know what it takes to make it in the WNBA.
Yeah, no, that's legitimate. She's not talking out of the side of her neck. She's been there, done that. So it's very apparent that she has knowledge in that area. And the WNBA is expanding. There's going to be more opportunities in the years to come. So that's a goal of a lot of our kids is to play professionally. And it's not necessarily maybe WNBA, but maybe go overseas. So there's some ties there. And I think Abi does a great job of connecting the players with the dream and then the reality. She brings the reality of what it actually takes to get there.
We've not talked about this on a show yet. I bring up the subject of the Mercury. I know that there are a lot of colleges that can lean on having a WNBA team in their market. It's got to be a real cool thing to be able to go down to Mortgage Matchup Center and see the WNBA right there just a few miles from campus.
Yeah, we've built a great relationship with them as well. Nate will come over and watch practices. We've been to many Mercury games as a team, and I've been as a coach too. I think it's good to be able to pick each other's brains as well. But when you're recruiting, it's like, hey, we've got a team right in our backyard. You've got a lot of teams then coming through here. There's an opportunity. There's been a lot of WNBA teams practice in our facility.
Right.
You know, if they wanted to come see one of our girls and put them through a workout while they're here playing the Mercury, that's a benefit. If we've got really good players, the Mercury aren't going to want to let them get out of their backyard. So I think it's a benefit to have a professional team right down the street.
Real quick, when you go to a game, are you watching as a fan or are you watching as a
coach? I am
coach?
an X's and O's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn everything I can and understand the why. I wish I could just sit back and watch, but I feel like I've got to diagnose everything.
Well, I
It's
understand
fun.
that. I understand because you know what? The reality is a lot of things that the pros are doing, you see in college.
Yeah, we actually have quite an extensive playbook from the pro system. Jason Glover does a lot of our offense, and he came from the pros. So a lot of the stuff we're doing translates really nicely, and that's another good recruiting tidbit is you're coming here, and a lot of the terminology we use, a lot of the sets we use, you'll see at the pro level.
And going back to the subject of watching as a coach, I'm certain you sit there and you're probably in your mind, you're saying, if I face this offense, this is what I would do.
Yeah, it's fun. I love that part of it. I love the relationship piece. I love the learning piece. You know, we can never be stagnant, and we're all here to grow the game.
And grow the game. Indeed, when you look at the crowds that the Mercury got this last year in their run to the WNBA Finals and the increase in attendance at Arizona State games, it is very much on a growth mode for women's basketball, specifically here in the Valley. As mentioned, ASU assistant coach Abi Olajuwon is here with us. We'll talk hoops with Abi right after this on In the Huddle with Molly Miller on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Every Wednesday on the radio on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 FM HD Channel 2 and associated outlets, and on the TV on Fox 10 Extra at 8 and then Fox 10 at 11, 1 hour version at 8. And look, if you're watching this on television, you already know when this thing's on. This is In the Huddle with Molly Miller. I'm Jeff Munn. Way back in the day, a few people might remember that I used to work for the Phoenix Suns. In a couple of years, we had a really good team, a fellow named Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley, and 2 years in a row, we got stopped on our tracks in the playoffs by this guy named Hakeem Olajuwon. And it ruined my summer both years. And in the spirit of that, we welcome to our program the daughter of Hakeem Olajuwon. She also happens to be one of the outstanding assistant coaches with ASU women's basketball, Abi Olajuwon. Hi, Coach.
Hi.
You want another little fun little inside story? Do you remember the first time we met?
No.
At the airport?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was lost looking for my dad.
Right. The other thing people don't know about me is I volunteer at the airport. I'm one of those people that has the purple shirt and the purple hat. Sometime back in April, I'm working on a Sunday. Abby comes out of the area. I don't know what airline you were on, but you're going toward the escalator, and you're wearing ASU gear. So I went up to you and said, what sport? And you said women's basketball.
Yeah.
And then I had to explain to her, well, I'm your broadcaster, even though I'm wearing this silly hat and this purple shirt.
Yeah, I was meandering aimlessly through the airport, and it's easy to find my dad at 7 foot, but then I turned around and I had no idea how to exit.
But that's where we come in, the navigators. That's our job, is to point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
And you didn't know where your car was parked, none of that stuff.
But I made it to Blanco.
See, there you go.
So I found it.
Perfect.
There you go.
We were talking in the first segment with Coach Miller about your resume as a coach. Mm-hmm. You're young. You've been a lot of places already.
I know. I have. You know, I think when you start as a coach, you just want the opportunity to start D1, and I started at mid-major. And, you know, mid-major, you go as fast as you can. And when the opportunity presented itself for me to be in a conference that, I chose Big 12 over SEC. I chose Big 12 over the ACC. you jump at that opportunity, because there's not a lot of people when they're recruiting saying, like, I believe in this conference and I see what it produces. I know what it can do, and it's one of the top conferences in the country. So I worked at TCU, and then when I had the opportunity to come back and talk to Molly about, being at the pro level, you see such incredible players in college, and they're missing one or two things because they're fit in a box. And the one thing she talked about was, we want a pro level. We want them to have individuals. We want them to be successful, whether they play in the WNBA or they play overseas, not only as a Sun Devil, but way beyond that. And I think the parallel vision was perfect, and I'm just so glad that everyone else said no and she picked me, So.
Well, we are too. I mentioned also in the first segment that during your time in Chicago,
Yes.
you coached Alyssa Thomas, and what a phenomenal player she is. I mean, you must have recognized right away how good she was and how good she could be.
I'm only going to say this because, I don't want her to beat me up, but, like, she was at Connecticut. And so I followed her to Connecticut. And so
that's
now,
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Connecticut Sun.
There's a lot of fans here, and they're also Sun Devil fans. So I want to make sure AT, yes, she was at Connecticut. It's one of those things that, I think AT is probably going to, love Molly Miller, because the whole thing is about, how tough she is. Like, she's torn both her labrums. She doesn't care. She's a triple-double queen, and she doesn't take any excuses. So that's just kind of the mentality that Molly has, implemented in practice. You see it all the time. Like, it doesn't matter what the travel is or whatever. Everything's perfect for us. It's always an opportunity to be better. It's always an opportunity to work hard. And honestly, I was worried for our kids after TCU, because I was like, hey, you might mess up, but you didn't play hard. She might get you on these 5 days. But no, she handled it like a pro, and they did individuals, worked on themselves, and they've had some good practices since then.
And I think your bigs have been really solid and consistent throughout the season. Not just McKenna and Elle, but you talk about Deborah off the bench. Anybody that's playing inside, you can tell that they've been coached up.
Whew, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad you say that. When we watch film at the end, I always see the one miss, and I was like, oh, thank God Molly told her to shoot that 3, because if not, I would have been in trouble. No, we just have such great girls. They just want to be better. They want to do it for their team. I think Elle did an interview a couple days ago, and she talks about the responsibility of, like, making sure she does her part for the team. And I'm telling you, everyone from Tamaya Grace to Elle, like, every single person knows they have a role. Sun Devils are one, only need everyone. We always want the opportunities to grow together, and they really, really like each other. And that's not every team. I'm just letting you know.
No, and that's something that I noticed right away going back to the summer and practices at Weather Up, that this was a group that liked being around one another.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And the other thing that, and I've talked about this with Coach Miller a couple of times, I've been so impressed with the way the bigs block out.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily how many rebounds did you get, but are you doing enough to open up space for your teammate to get a rebound? And I really have been impressed with the blocking out that your bigs are doing.
Awesome. I love that. I mean, those are things that we have been trying to, like, emphasize, especially. And there was a game, I'm not going to say which one, where it was like, Gabby got this many rebounds and Marley got this many rebounds, and what are y'all doing? And, of course, they look at me like, Coach, like, fix it. So, that's something we've really been trying to emphasize. It's something that, as you look at our next couple games with West Virginia, they have interior presence. Cincinnati, they have interior presence. Iowa State has some interior presence.
They do.
So,
yeah,
we got to box out.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things, you spent your summer at the Olympics.
Yes.
Coaching Team Nigeria. Oh, you're going to have Promise on.
Thank gosh we had Promise. She was a defensive nightmare.
Yes.
So.
And it was a great experience too, because you got to the quarters.
Yeah, we did.
Which
we did,
is,
right? We did? Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
You coached them. You should know.
No, I know. The thing is with the Olympics, there's like this point spread thing. And like we have a head coach who is so much about like she wants everyone to have an opportunity. It's such an incredible moment. I'm like, the point spread. I don't want to play America. But, I was like, she can go to L.A. and 4 years. And the coach is like, no, we got to do this the right way. But it was an amazing opportunity. And we had girls who just adhere with mental toughness. They do not care who has the other jersey on. They only care about the jersey and the name in front. And it proved itself.
Yeah. And I know from my own experiences that the Olympics, when you see it on television and the commentators talk about how magical it is, about this and that, it's not a sales pitch. It's real.
Yeah.
The whole experience, the camaraderie with other athletes in other sports or basketball players from other countries, it's very real.
Yeah, for me, I was just like, this is such an incredible opportunity. And then there's people like Promise who's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to be in LA and this, when you're that caliber of a player. And I just feel honored that I got that opportunity as a coach. But, she's won like 5 African championships. They've already qualified. They go back in September, I think, just for publicity at this point. They have been so amazing to that country. And most of these players are first-generation immigrants. And so their parents are honored. The country is honored. Like, Luau Deng came to us, and he was like, you're doing this for all of Africa. And I was like, all of Africa? Like, can't we just do it for, like, just this little piece? Like, the whole continent? And it's just one of those things where I just was like, this is such an amazing opportunity. And just to have girls who just enjoy the ride and the journey. And it's one of those things that I really tried to adhere and, like, let these girls know as they're the stewards of this program that, like, you aren't going to remember, like, the biggest win. You're going to remember all of these moments and opportunities with this team. Because no matter where you are in the NCAA tournament, even if you win it all, you're going to end up crying because the team is never going to be the same.
That's exactly true. Would you like to do it again in 28? Or are we looking too far down the road?
It's in LA. So my mom is like, yes, no hotel. My brother is actually going to be playing with the Canada national team. So he's doing that as well. I have talked with Canada, and so I don't know. I mean, it'll be definitely a different opportunity. My dad played for the Toronto Raptors, so that is kind of also a thing. People don't know that. Like, those 2 baseball years for Jordan, great for the Olajuwon family. We won championships, but
I was going to mention that.
I was like, those
remember, you guys got it in the Phoenix Suns way too.
Yeah, and Barkley came and hung out with us at the Rockets.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember talking to him about it about a week before the trade. All that stuff.
At the end of the day, the one thing that was always really cool is, it's a Summer Olympics. Summer is such an important time for college, and it's one of those things that, like, Molly was like, as much as we want our players to have these dreams, I want to make sure that every single assistant gets their dreams. And she says it all the time. She's like, you guys are head coaches, and I want you, if this is important to you, it's important to all of us. And so 2 years from now, I have no idea where I will be as far as the Olympics or anything like that, but knowing that your head coach is not like, well, we have individuals.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, no, we're gonna support you in that endeavor is really it's really awesome.
And that's where I'm going to wrap this up. Future.
Yes.
Would you like to be a head coach? I'm going to tell you right now, you become a head coach, you can do this show thing really easy. You're really good at this.
Really? Thank you. You know what? I honestly I think one day, of course, everybody wants to be a head coach, but, like, I really like having, like, my little Post-it, and I'd be like, oh, I only have to do this. And I see Molly, like, running over here, running over here, running over here. And then I hear her calling down, like, oh, I'll be at practice. And I just have my little Post-it. It's like, finish my scout. So I don't know if I want to right now. It seems like a lot of responsibilities. And, she's an awesome person, so it's so great that I see her. I'm like, when did she go to hockey and talk to the women's hockey team? Like, I just saw her like 5 minutes ago at lunch. So I think right now, I think I want to stick with that. But I know that that's one of the things that's really on the forefront. It's like, you're doing this, but let's make sure we grow in this aspect, in this aspect, in this aspect.
Well, you're doing a terrific job.
Thank
here,
you.
Right here, right now. And
keep that on recording just in case. At the end of the year meeting, I need to make sure I have that.
Coach, Abby's doing a great job.
Awesome. I'm doing a great job. And he didn't write that down.
That's right. No, do you see anything written? No script. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming.
Bye.
Abby Olajuwon with us, and we're back with Promise Amukamara, who played in the Olympics this past summer, right after this on the Sun Devil Radio Network.
In the Big 12, it's up for grabs, and anybody can go and get it. Who wouldn't want to watch this team play?
Tickets are on sale as we speak at thesundevils.com, and I wouldn't waste one more second. Get on the website right now and get them. Back we go with another segment of In the Huddle with Molly Miller. I'm Jeff Munn. We come to you from Blanco Cocina y Cantina in Novus Place at 6th Street in Rural. Come on down here any night of the week and enjoy great Mexican food, but be here on Mondays for In the Huddle with Molly Miller. We tape at 6. It runs back on radio and on TV on Fox 10 and Fox 10 Extra on Wednesday evenings. In September, we had a tremendous event to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Sun Devil women's basketball. And among other things, just to look out at the crowd that day and see so many familiar faces, the first thing that hit me was what my kids have been telling me for years: Dad, you're old. And as proof, we have with us a guest that remembers when my hair was a lot redder and I was a little thinner. ASU alum guard Promise Amukamara with us. Hi, Prom.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, just awesome. Do you, well, let's see, 2011 to 2015.
Yeah.
So your last year was the year we went to the Sweet 16 against Florida State in Greensboro and came that close.
Yeah.
And had we gotten to the Elite Eight against South Carolina, I was pretty well convinced we're on our way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy because I always blame that game on my sister because I played with my
I didn't
sister.
want to get into that.
She had the ball in her hand with, I don't know, 5 seconds to go. And she's like looking at the bench like, what do I do? Like, we had no timeouts.
Right.
I'm like, and I had fouled out. So I'm like, go to the basket. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. But nevertheless, I'm very thankful and grateful for my experience here at ASU.
And you've had a lot of basketball experiences since, primarily professionally in France?
Yeah. Yeah, I played 3 years in France, but I've been all over Europe for 11 years.
And you played in the Olympics for Team Nigeria. Abby was one of your coaches.
Yes.
You got to the quarterfinals, which is a first for Nigeria, correct?
Yeah, for any African team. So it was like a huge, like, tremendous honor and, like, goal. Like, it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Thank you.
Did Luol Deng say to you you're playing for all of Africa?
No, I didn't get I didn't get that message.
But you had a great time.
Yeah, of course. So I went twice. I went to the Olympics in 2020, but that was during COVID. So like we didn't.
Tokyo.
Yeah, in Tokyo.
Right.
We weren't able to watch any matches or really mingle with other athletes. But in 2024, that's when we were able to watch different matches. I was at all of USA's men's basketball games, so that was fun. I met like the whole team. I met Luka. I met so many people. It was crazy.
Who else was Kevin Durant?
Yeah, I took a picture with him.
Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker.
So
LeBron James. LeBron James was at the at our game when we played against USA, and he was on the baseline of the court, and yeah, it's crazy to say that I played against him. I played in front of him.
that is cool.
Yeah.
Did you get to go to any other sports besides basketball?
No, that was the only sport I went to watch.
But you've got practices in between games, so it's a little tough.
Yeah, and I didn't know a lot of the schedules, so like that was hard for us as well.
But a tremendous experience nonetheless.
Yes.
And it was a great time for everybody in Paris. Any time that you talk to ASU fans or if this old ASU broadcaster is interviewing you, I'm certain the question comes up, top memory from your days as a Sun Devil. Is that an easy question to answer?
No, because every year is a different team. I guess like beating Stanford twice my senior year, that was like a huge, because Charlie never had won against them, and so that was a most memorable experience. And then also going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is that streak against Stanford continued the following year.
Yeah.
Beating them here and in Palo Alto, and I've got a clip somewhere in my computer of Sophie Bruner hitting the game winner in overtime.
Oh, wow.
In 2016 at Maples Pavilion.
Oh, wow.
And so that was, nobody had done that, a 4-game winning streak against Stanford. So you were right at the start of that,
Yeah.
which was extremely cool. And there was your first year, Charlie was on a sabbatical. Mm-hmm. If I recall correctly, we got to the WNIT at Pacific. Mm-hmm. The things I remember about that game that you probably are not. Pacific had never hosted a postseason basketball game in like 40 years. So we go in there to play them because our building wasn't available. And I don't know if you noticed this. It was spring football practice at Pacific. And during the second half, I look across, and the entire football team is jumping up and down on tables on the other side. And I kept thinking, they're going to break those things. And we were not winning the game, and that's why they were going nuts. It's just the little things you remember. It'll all come out in my book someday. But then Charlie comes back. There's a little bit of an adjustment, but literally her second year back, you're in the tournament again in Toledo. You beat Vanderbilt, lose to Notre Dame, but it was just like that, and everything's right back where it should be.
Oh, yeah. Like, playing for Charlie, there's a standard, there's a culture, and she implemented it right when she came back. And so we just all followed suit. We were all on board. We knew we went to get to the NCAA tournament. I've never been, and so, yeah, that was a great year.
It was a great year. Now, I know you've been involved. I'm certain Coach Miller asked you to come out and be a part of practices during the summer. Mm-hmm. And you've had an up-close view of how she's building this program.
Yeah, like, no offense, Molly, but I always say that, like, she's like a mini Charlie. Like, she reminds me of Charlie so much, like, the way she emphasized defense, the culture she's implementing, yeah, the brand of basketball that they're showing is just like how when we were playing. And so it feels so nostalgic and like deja vu. Like, I'm like, wow, this was us. Like, when me, Nisi, Izzy, we came to practice one day and we're like, wow, this reminds me of a Charlie practice. And so I love what she's building here. She's doing an amazing job. And I'm so happy that all the girls bought in and just, yeah.
It is. It's really exciting. And I think, too, and I'll get a thought from Coach Miller about this in our final segment. She's really worked hard to embrace the alumni and make certain that they know that they're a part of this. And I know that makes you feel good because when it's a new coaching staff, you're just not certain, do they know who I am? Right. Do they understand that I was part of this?
Right. I still keep in touch with all the girls from when I played, and so, like, we didn't really have a close relationship with the past coach, and, like, we felt, like, very unseen. And so when Molly came, she made it a point to really connect with us and talk to us and really come close with the team. And so we were forever grateful and we appreciate her for doing that. Yeah, she's been amazing to us, and like I said, I'm just so grateful that she has allowed us to, still be connected with our program.
Absolutely. And you talk about talking to your teammates. A number of your teammates they went on to play professionally in Europe, but a number of them have gone into coaching. Katie Hempen is coaching. She's been coaching for several years.
Yeah.
And I guess we shouldn't be surprised that so many of your teammates have gone into coaching because there was such a high basketball IQ. There still is at this team, but the years that you played, the basketball IQ of that group was really high. So it shouldn't come as much of a surprise that so many of them have gone into coaching.
No, yeah, for sure. I feel like our team, my senior year, they were very knowledgeable about the sport. I learned a lot from them as a senior, and they were younger than me. And I took whatever I learned and brought it to the pro level. But yeah, they had high IQ. They really knew what they were talking about. And yeah.
Yeah, you're a guard. You've had a chance to see Gabby, Marley, Poa. She always wants me to just say Poa. You have to. I'm sure you're very impressed with the talent they bring to this program.
Oh yeah, Gabby scoring at every level on the court. Poa's defense. Who else? Marley's defense.
Yeah.
They've been really incredible.
Amaya and Jaya Levette,
Yeah.
Amaya Williams.
Amaya, yeah. As a freshman, her poise and how she handles the ball, it's great to see.
Yeah, and I'm certain that you worked with the guards when you've been out at Weatherup.
Yeah, so I played a lot of defense on them. So
Were they happy about that?
No, not at all. But I feel like they handled the pressure. They did a great job.
Yeah, and I'm certain that they, when you talked to them or offered them advice, they were listening very intently.
Yeah, for sure. Maya, one day, I was guarding her, and she couldn't get past me, and it was so crazy. As a freshman, she had took the initiative to ask me, hey, could you, after practice, she had asked me, hey, could you help? Can you play with me can you play against me one-on-one? I want to defend you better because I was getting beat in practice. I was like, wow, yes, I'll do that.
That's impressive.
Yes, and so as a freshman, that just shows character. That shows how you're eager to learn. It was amazing.
Okay, last thing, bring us up to speed. Your playing career, where are you at with things?
Yeah, so in September, I'm going to be playing in the World Cup with my national team, and then I think after that, I'm just going to wrap it up.
Coaching, perhaps?
Oh, no, I can't coach.
You can't coach? Okay.
No.
Well, if you change your mind, you've got Molly's phone number.
Yeah.
She can help in that regard. It's great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
All
Jeff.
the best to you. Stay
Thank
safe
you.
and well.
Thank you.
Sun Devil alum Promise Amukamara with us, and we're back with Coach Miller for our final segment when In the Huddle continues right after this on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Back with our final segment of In the Huddle with Molly Miller. Those of you who are not here are never going to understand why I made such an emphasis on that, but thank goodness for tape. Along with head coach Molly Miller, I'm Jeff Munn. I'm just glad I got the names right. And this is our final segment for this week. We'll be back here next Monday night to tape the show at 6 at Blanco. The show airs on Wednesdays on KDUS AM 1060, Fox 10 Extra, and Fox 10. Before we get into talking about the games of this week, and the radio show is airing before we play at West Virginia, a quick thought on what we talked about with Promise. I know you've really worked really hard to reach out to the alumni and let them know they're still very much a part of this family.
Yeah, they're inspiring to me. I want to get back to where my kids are telling the stories that Promise is telling when they come to the Sweet 16. And it's just inspirational also because the pride of this place, I want to make the alums proud. I want to welcome them in. We're all Sun Devils. We're one big family. They've poured blood, sweat, and tears into this program, and they've laid the foundation for us to get this program back to its rightful place. And I know I'm going to do my best to get us there and include everyone on the ride. And I love her. She's so sweet, too.
Yeah, she's the best. I know have been aware for a long time about the history of this program. But at that luncheon in September, when you walk in the room and here's 50 years of ASU women's basketball, players that are going back to the late 70s, early 80s, that had to really make an impression on you.
It was amazing and very serendipitous that the first chapter for me was a 50-year reunion where I got to actually meet these not only players but coaches and staff members and trainers and sports performance coaches and nutritionists who all had a touch point in the program at some time. And I just want to do right by everyone. I want to make them proud, like I said, but I also want to include them. But to have that moment in my first year, it was kind of, awe-inducing of, wow, look at where it's been and where I want to get it back to.
Well, and we talk about players. You could look in the room that day at coaches.
Yeah.
Julene Simpson, Maura McHugh, Charlie Turner-Thorne. That had to make quite an impression as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of stories on that coaches panel that I could never get away with this day and age. It was pretty impressive.
It was a tremendous afternoon over on campus in September. okay, we talked about this in the first segment. I think we're at a point now where anybody trying to predict how the Big 12 race is going to go is wasting their time because we've learned you can't really count on anything. You do know that you have two really difficult opponents this week. West Virginia, then to Cincinnati. They played each other on Sunday, and Cincinnati got a win. So you know both teams are going to be really challenging.
Yeah, it's tough. It sounds so cliche, but it is any given night in the Big 12. Luckily, West Virginia, very good coach in Mark, and Mark Kellogg has coached at SFA. So at my GCU days, we played him. So I'm very familiar with the system. I feel comfortable in that scout. And then Abby, who was on earlier. By the way, how dynamic is she? She can take
awesome.
everyone's job. She'll have my job. She's going to take your job, Jeff.
Yeah.
Blake, she's coming for your job.
Yeah.
She can take any one of our jobs.
Yeah.
She's so dynamic. But she's got the Cincy scout, and she's been working really, really hard on it. And these road games, we always say they're like double. We really need to get these to solidify some things that we're doing and put an exclamation point on it.
It's also interesting that you have 2 days in between games. I know you'll make use of it with the practice time, but I also know that there's probably a part of you that says, okay, we play West Virginia. Let's go ahead and play Cincinnati in 2 days instead of waiting 2 days.
Yeah, when you wait around, it's hurry up and wait when you're on the road and in the hotel room. But Abby said it. It's a theme of us. Perfect for us.
Yes,
Doesn't
it
matter
is.
how, when, where, what, it's perfect for us. So whatever time we have, we're going to make the best of it. Our kids really lock in and focus. I don't mind road trips in terms of getting a rhythm. You kind of take the classes out of it. So you can do 2 sessions of game film. You can do a walkthrough and film. You can do pregame meal. You can do study hall. So there's a very organized schedule.
Yeah, and it will be different now that the spring semester has started. During the semester break, there was a little bit of an ease. It eased up a little bit because there wasn't study hall, right?
Right. The girls like when they don't have study hall because it's nap time.
Yeah, well, I was a student here, and I liked it when there was no study hall. But as we say, West Virginia, a very potent offensive team, a lot like Kansas in terms of they can come at you with a lot of different weapons.
Well, both sides of the ball. They lead the Big 12 in turnovers forced. So They will press. They'll do a matchup zone. They'll play pressure man. They just kind of throw the kitchen sink at you, and you have to be ready because it changes in an instant. So you have to keep your composure about you. We talked today about turnovers. The 3 things that we're focused on is no live ball turnovers because they'll take a live ball turnover and go score it. And then offensive rebounds, they do a really good job at second chance points, and they draw a lot of fouls. So especially on the road, we're going to have to play clean, show our hands, make sure we're moving our feet, and not get in foul trouble.
Cincinnati was an awfully young team a year ago, and they beat ASU here, and then ASU beat them in the Big 12 tournament, which in reality kind of ended any thought Cincinnati had at postseason. Now, rosters change one year to the next, so it's like getting even is not really, I'm certain, paramount with Cincinnati, but the returning players are a year older. The win when they beat Iowa State, you thought, well, Iowa State's had so many injuries, but then they beat West Virginia and then think, okay, Cincinnati's a lot more legitimate than maybe we thought.
They hadn't been healthy. They're just getting healthy. These past couple weeks, I think they've had everyone back. So their record's a little bit of facade. It's not really who they are. Now that they're healthy, they're kind of moving, and they found a little bit of a rhythm here that can be scary. So you got to throw records out the window anyways when you're in the Big 12, but especially this game because they're not the same team they are now than they were in the preseason.
And it's going to be cold.
Of course.
Not in the buildings, but outside. But what do we say?
Perfect
for us.
Good job, Jeff.
We want everybody in this crowd to start saying that, and we may start getting some shirts together that say perfect for us. But it's also really the last extended road trip in conference play. The rest of them are kind of one game here, one game there, that little drive down to Tucson that we don't want to talk about yet. But fortunately, the last month of the year, you don't have to look at a really elongated road trip. This is really it.
Yeah, and we're no stranger to going to the East Coast. Again, I like how our non-conference schedule is set up. We traveled to Penn State. You might as well, Morgantown, Penn State. That's same, right? We're going on a long plane trip. So we're comfortable with that because we've been doing that. We went West Coast to East Coast, played a game and won, and we're hope to retweet that.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up. I know there were a lot of different reasons to get Penn State on the schedule, but it doesn't hurt that you gave your team the chance to experience long plane ride, playing back east, cold weather, all that stuff. This will not be anything new to them.
Yeah, no surprises on the travel.
Yeah, and we should tell you also, for the benefit of those of you listening on the radio, to stay where you are, because as soon as the show's over, somehow magically, we're all going to appear in Morgantown and start the pregame show. Watching on television, somebody laughed at that. You really think that it's all done with magic? I mean, but the TV side, we've already played West Virginia, and I'm sorry we can't tell you how it came out, but I'm certain you should have been listening to the radio broadcast, frankly. That way you would know how the West Virginia game came out. Saturday, before I forget, West Virginia is a 5 o'clock tip-off Arizona time. Pregame will start at 4:30, KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 FM HD Channel 2, the KDUS app, and KDUS.com. Same outlets for Saturday at Cincinnati. Noontime Arizona tip-off, 2 o'clock Eastern time, but noon here, and we'll be on the air at 11:30 against the Cincinnati Bearcats. This also, in a way, and again, it's perfect for us, but it does impact your practice schedule because you can't get in a lot of work here before you got to get on the plane.
Yeah, we got an early one tomorrow morning, but that's fine. You know, the girls will be up. We'll get them going. We'll get a good practice in. I think we'll have a good practice. We challenged them today. You can't have a bad practice at this time of year. You just can't waste a day, especially when you're playing on the road to really good opponents. So I think we'll have a good practice tomorrow and then catch an early flight and get to the East Coast.
It's like the pros in a way. You get to this time of year, you've got to balance what you want to accomplish with practice and how much wear and tear your team can tolerate.
Yeah, shout out to our trainers, Sports Performance, Annalisa and Lucas. They do a good job of getting PT and rehab in. And our girls are pretty diligent. They'll even come in on their days off. You know, it takes what it takes. And, we're sitting here on a Sunday doing scout as coaches and assistants, but our trainers are coming in and doing dry needling and stretching and all the things that help them prepare for the next one.
I'm glad you mentioned both Annalisa and Lucas because they have been phenomenal. Injuries were such a problem the last couple of years. And, that it hasn't been yet, but they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, we have a rock star of a staff, and I'm really excited that everyone's bought in so quickly to the vision and what we need. And that was probably a little bit of a change for them, good, bad, or indifferent. It was going to be a change with how things were set up and looked like and the requirements and the expectations and the standards. And everyone's done a really good job of being on the same team.
Okay, let's get on the road and go get a couple of wins this week, Coach. I appreciate
that. Thank you.
We'll see you next Monday here.
All right, we'll see you here.
Sounds like a plan. Wednesday at West Virginia. It's about to happen on the radio. It's already happened on TV. Nobody said stop applauding. And then Saturday at Cincinnati, and we'll see you here next week on In the Huddle with Molly Miller, a presentation of the Sun Devil Radio Network. Keep applauding.